around and her sweat like in my mouth.
Okay, so let's go.
Let's go.
Like
Did you tag everybody?
In just a second.
around and her sweat like.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, my
Okay, so
Facebook family.
let's go.
Welcome to the exploration. Now, today's exploration is all about the village. We've had it come up in many different conversations about the village and what it entails and how we process this in everyday life. So, today, let's talk about it for real. Let's just focus on what the village actually is in today, in the past versus today, all of that. So, today, I have Miss Jamila, I have Mr. Julian, Miss Melody, and Miss Sharondia, with one more person looking to come in just a moment. Guys, we this is gonna be real. It's gonna be fun. It's going to be truthful because I mean this is who we are. Really, um, I am ready to get into the depths of our spirit and soul because I think this is going to be a truly different type of conversation. I I want you to understand that this is honestly, if you feel something, if you think of something, please feel free to give us a comment. Make sure you like and share the Facebook page and the YouTube page. So let's get into the depths of our spirit, y'all. And I'm being country, y'all. My first question of the night: what is the village to you? What does it mean to you? So today we're gonna, so this first question, Jamila, you gonna go first, Sharondia, um, Melody, and then Julian. You ready? Let's go.
Welcome to the village, y'all. Um, this is the village. This is being able to have conversations, being able to guide each other, lift each other up, laugh with each other, cry with each other, help each other with our children when we don't know where to go. You know, if you need bail money because you had to beat up your child, the village is where you vent. The village is where you get lifted up, built up, and grow up. That in its most simple terms is the village to me.
Miss Sharondia.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback off of that, Coach, um, because my definition of a village is I have many. I have a family, a village. That's my village. My friends, but it has blended together throughout the years, and I find that my village is still relatively small, but it's very helpful to myself, and I'm hoping that I am a helpmate to the people in my village as well. Um, uh, I really found my LGBT village when I came out. The support that I got from them was so overwhelming that a lot of times it just made me cry because it was just I could not believe that people were just so into my well-being. How am I doing? I just think it's fantastic. um but yeah, that's my definition of a village, of people supporting one another, helping to guide one another. Whether you're babysitter, dog sitter, it doesn't matter. You have fur babies or babies that walk on two legs. Helping helping to expand the village um, is what I love the most about this. And you guys are actually my new village. So thank you.
Okay, to Melody.
I got to take it back to the soul. So for me, the village is these are the souls that you chose to learn your life lessons from, and also chose to provide life lessons to prior to incarnating. Um, so they will come and go as as their needs need you. They will come and go as you need them, but they are the souls that you've chosen to learn your life lessons with.
Okay, Julian.
So for me, my village or village to me is my collective. Um, the group of people, whether it's my professional area, family, friends that make up family, um, anybody that comes together with me and we assimilate as one, so that on the journey as we all go, we help each other, we grow, we teach, we chastise, um, whether it's emotional, mental, spiritual, along the way with each other, and just really propel each other forward. Um, that's important to me. So, like Sharondia said, my village or my collective is really small. Um, however, at times, a person could become a member of that collective that is only there for a short, brief, hot second. It might be a stranger that I met on the side of the road one day, that I may have give a ride to, and somewhere, or maybe we were in line at the grocery store, and they now became part of my collective and assimilated with me, through some words that we've exchanged. Um, so that's kind of what my collective or village is.
Okay. And I'm going to jump in and say my village is my support system. They pick me up when I'm down. They rejoice with me when I'm up. Um, they keep me from putting kids on the front porch when I'm not supposed to. Um, but they also know that when I need to be rescued, to come get me. But they know me medically. They know me intimately, and I have different circles to this. So that's my definition of the village. So as we talked about the definition, my next question: what do you feel is the universal purpose? What should be the universal purpose of the village? We know what we consider the village or what it consists of, but what is its actual purpose? Same rotation from last time. What is its actual purpose?
The purpose of the village, as it was taught to me, the purpose of the village was to guide. The purpose of the village was to lift up. The purpose of the village was to reprimand as needed. Um, we don't necessarily see that. I know we may dive into that a little bit later as we go, but it is to love, it is to guide, it is to build up and reprimand as needed. I yield.
Sharondia?
Okay. I feel that the purpose of the village is to guide, to teach love, to teach discipline, spirituality. But I think the village also, the purpose of the village is to also, to me, is to be accepting, um, to differences, because we don't all, because even though we're all a village, everybody comes with something different, and it's up to the village to try and to help that person, to feel like they're still a part of the village, because we know, I don't know about anybody on this panel, but I know how it feels to be, to that it feels like I've been kicked out of a village, and uh, but to be picked up by another village uh, when I was down um, taught me that uh, we're our village. Some of our villages are like seasons where you. That's how I treat it because I mean I've gone through a whole array of friends and family. I spent the whole summer with a Filipino gang. That was the most interesting summer I ever had. It was one of the most fun. But they accepted me, even though I was the only Black person in the group. They didn't make me feel left out, or they didn't say any, oh, because you Black, this should happen. No, that did not happen. They actually really took me in and made me feel very welcome. And I think that is what the purpose um, of the village is. And I yield.
Mel?
Well, so in my definition of the village is the purpose of the village. The purpose of the village is to allow for me to be connected with other souls as I try to get through this thing called life, in the immortal words of Prince, rest in peace, to help me learn my lessons, to help me to be my mirror when I need to be shown where I have gone astray, to support me when I have, done, I don't like the word correct, but when I have fulfilled a lesson that I was supposed to learn. We are our biggest critics, in my opinion, and I need the village to remind me that I am on the right path. And then my purpose in the villages that I belong to is, again, to support those souls in learning whatever lessons they have, as well as being their mirror respectfully when they need to see um, a change that needs to be made. I yield my time.
Julian?
What is the actual purpose of the village? For me, I would have to say to help sustain, fulfill, encourage, and groom life. So, with my village being my collective and all of us assimilating together to propel each other forward, it is necessary that we help sustain that life and groom it. Um, because it wouldn't matter if we're all there and we're helping each other, but there's no sustainability within that village, or there's no leads with fulfilling what our needs. Um, so I think that's important that as we live and coexist within our villages, that or within my village, that we don't lose sight of one another, because it's easy to forget or lose somebody along the wayside, and that, I think, that's the most detrimental thing that you can do. So it's important to encourage and keep your village members at your side, not behind you. you know you could push them in front of you, but if you push them in front of you, then you're now at their back. So we got to stand side by side and work together collectively, and pull each other along the way. So if we all standing side by side and we create that line, we're all on that same path going forward. Or as each other's going through your own particular journey, you have your village mate right there with you. So that's to me, that's what the actual purpose of the village is.
Can I share an image that came to mind, Mr. Julian, when you said that? When the police are out looking for, through a crime scene, missing persons, whatever, they go in one line side by side, and they do that to make sure that they don't miss anything. and that each person is eyes for the person next to them in case they miss something. And that is an amazing image of what a village should be. I am your eyes, you are my eyes. As we're walking through this earth together, we're making sure that we're not missing any of the crucial information that we need to continue our village. That is an amazing image. Thank you.
That's kind of exactly where I was getting it from, except for me, having been in the Marine Corps, that's something we did all the time. We walk on the line, whether it was what we call police calling for cleaning up, which is where they get that term from, walking that police line, or we're looking for something or anything. But that sticks in my head with, doing anything, stand side by side, hold each other arm in arm. Even when you think about when there's protests, we stand side by side, we link up, we create that chain of protection for one another. So that's what I think about.
Okay. And yeah, I think you guys have hit. So as I'm listening to your different purpose and definitions, my next question now becomes, when it comes to roles in the village, what do you think should be more stable roles in the village? What should we does each village have the same type of roles? The matriarch, the nurturer, the protector. What do you gravitate to as far as roles in your particular village? Because no one's going to look exactly the same, but because you may be, like in my case, I tend to be the matriarch. So the people I look for to surround me, that's not necessarily something that I'm necessarily looking for. So when you're looking at the roles of the village in this day and age, what do you think what is the role you think everyone should have in their village? So we're starting off, we're changing it up. We're starting off with Sharondia. We're going to go to Melody. We're going to go to Julie, and then we're going to finish up with Jamila.
Okay, so your question is, when it comes to roles in the village, what do I gravitate to?
What are you looking for? Are you looking for the protector, the nurturer, and whether it's conscious or unconscious, what do you find in your village and you think everyone needs to have that type of person in a role in your circle somewhere?
I guess I'm gonna have to start with a nurturer is where I want to get started. Someone who will be firm but gentle. It's still gonna hurt a little bit, but at least they're giving me, they're giving me what I need to hear. Um, um, I look for that. I look for I look for love in the village. Um, um, I look for uh, certain friendships in the village, because of course we all know everybody doesn't friend the same way. Um, I look for the foundation, to me, a foundation of a village, the spirituality of the village. I definitely look for that. And I actually put that in quotations next to guidance. Um, uh, yeah, I think, and it switches up from time to time, of what I'm looking for, um, in the roles. And as far as like the roles, there are no there's no gender, because I've had plenty of mentors that were men who were very uh, they were guiding, they were loving, they were straight to the point. This is what needs to be done or what have you. Or I've had some women to be extremely like, it's like, Dad, you worse than my daddy. Um, but I needed that at the time. I didn't need for you to really coddle me. I needed you to give me the real, and then they step back and let me think about it for a minute or two. Um, but yeah, I gravitate. You lately, I've been gravitating towards um, nurturing, um, mentoring. I just asked someone today to mentor me, and she said, if you're ready, I will give it to you." She said, "I do not play around when it comes to my mentees. Um, I'm very serious about you wanting to do whatever it is you're going to do, and if you need when you need my guidance and you come to me, I'm going to let you know. So I'm scared, but I'm ready. I'm scared, but I'm ready. And I yield my time.
Okay. This is an interesting question, I'll say, because I don't necessarily look for a village. I think I'm a more passive village gatherer. I just get included into villages. People find me. I'm an introvert. I'm what's called an extroverted introvert. I can do things like this. I can, be the life of the party. But it is incredibly emotionally and spiritually draining for me. So I always have to get back in my own space. And because I have that extroverted energy when I'm around other people, I become part of people's villages. Um, and while I don't actively look for a village, I am choosy about the villages that dive into. I may be on the periphery of certain villages because, I have a friend who's part of that village, but I'm not comfortable with that village. My role almost always is an educator. Um, I There's something about this lifetime where my job is supposed to be people come to me and ask questions about things, and I know a little bit about a lot. Expert of nothing, but a jack of all trades. And so for me, what I look for when I'm in that village, when I decide, am I going to stay in this village? Am I going to really be a part of it? Or am I just going to, serve my purpose and move on? I look for, very similar to what Sharondia said, what is the spirituality base of that village? And I don't say religion. Y'all have heard me. I'm not going to preach tonight. I promise I'm not going to preach tonight. Don't take me there, Michelle. I'm not going to preach. But you've heard me talk a lot about spirituality because that's about the soul. And that looks past the person, their skin color, their gender, their weight, their class. It looks past all of that. And it looks at the soul of the person. And that's what I look at in the group. I can feel your energy before you ever open your mouth. And if the energy of that group does not feed my energy, then that's not the village for me. I will serve my purpose, for whatever reason I've been brought into that village. You know, it's not always about me receiving. Sometimes my purpose is to give, to supply, and then I will move on from that village and be perfectly complete. I don't actually look for specific roles in the village. Whatever role brought me, whatever person brought me to that village or included me in that village was obviously a role I needed. And I make use of the resources of that village as they make use of mine. Um, and then, so my village, when you think about villages, I think it's very interesting because it's not like it's the same circle. So I may know only one person in their village, right? They're part of mine. But in this other group, two of those people are part of mine. And they may never meet. When I was younger, I actually did not want groups to mix. I didn't like it. I don't know what that was about, but I did not like for groups of people that I knew to meet. And I'm a little more flexible about that now. And as I'm getting older and really don't want to socialize. So, so if you want to see me, let's all meet at the same place and time. but for me, the villages, that I'm a part of, where I'm useful, are not necessarily my village. And I think that's something that we can, if I didn't recognize that, I would go nuts, because I'd be like, these people aren't feeding me, I'm feeding them, and they're not feeding me. I don't understand why. But once I realized my role in that village is just to supply a need, not to receive, it makes things a lot easier. It makes the village a lot more fluid. Some people may mix. Obviously, in this village, I know several of, some of these ladies through the org, our sorority. So, villages are mixing. So I don't necessarily look for what the roles are that are available in that village. What I look for, I definitely look for, where is your soul base? Like, is your soul mature enough, or at least willing to grow enough to be useful to this village and be, without bringing the whole village down. Everyone has their journey. I don't knock your journey. Some people have it rough this lifetime, and there's a reason for that. I'm a very old soul. I believe in reincarnation. I'm an extremely old soul this lifetime. So I'm a little more settled in what I realize my purpose on this earth is. So, but my role, to answer your original question, my role is typically a teacher, sometimes a nurturer, but I'm a tough love nurturer. I give you that advice once, maybe twice if you were hysterical the first time. But after that, what you're going to get from me is, I already gave you my advice. Now, what are you going to do? And that's all you get from me. So, I'm not the one you call to, cry 15 times about whatever woman or man you're with. I done already told you how to extrapolate yourself from the situation if you want to. Excuse my, $10 word, but, get out of the situation, get counseling, get whatever. I already told you that. So I'm not the one you call. But the flip side of that is, if you call me crying, I'm going to war, because crying for me is you are seeking, your soul is seeking aid from me, and I'm going to war. So I'm not the person you call crying, right? And some of my sorority sisters know this. And then afterwards, you like, nah, it's all good. No, you called me. You should call somebody else. You called me. So now I'm involved. Exactly. I'm involved. What are we doing? Okay. Because you don't call me crying. Don't call me crying. Call somebody else. They will happily talk you down from that ledge, but do not call me and then come back to me 2 days later and be like, oh, he's okay, girl. No. Oh, she's okay. No. Mm-mm. So that answers your question, I hope, very long-windedly. Thank you.
Come on, Julian.
Take the question in like several parts. So I would say, as far as what I gravitate towards, I think I gravitate towards the teachers, probably, or whoever is the ones that are giving the lessons. Because I like to soak up knowledge, so I'm always asking questions. So that's usually the people that I gravitate towards. I'm always trying to find something out, trying to pick people's brains. Why is this going on? What happened with this over here? What is this, or how is this? That's generally what I do. But I've noticed I am a protector. I am a higher protector. That is just my character. Definitely, like Melody said, if you come to me crying about something, about someone, you can't take that back later and be like, nah, it's good. No, it's not. It will be good. We're gonna make sure of that, but you can't take that back. There's no backseat on that. People tend to come to me for advice and stuff too. I see that's my role in a lot of things. That someone that's teaching and giving advice, and guiding people as well as being a protector. I think I've always been that. That's always been my person, my character with everything I do. And whether it's young people, I get older people, people my age that come to me in that sense. So that's kind of what I do. And as far as what I think a village is like should definitely have, um, I think for my village anyway, I gotta have that teacher. I have to. I think if I don't have a person that who I can pick their brain against when I have a question, and if I can't find the answer, I believe I will probably go by the wayside. I have to have that knowledge that pushes me. That's my goal, my go to, my drive. I gotta find out why it's the way it is. It's gotta make sense to me. And if it doesn't make sense to me, it's life is over. So I need it to make sense. Um, so if my village doesn't have that teacher that I don't know what they're called. I don't know another way to put it. But if there's not that person that's giving those lessons, I believe my village will fall apart. Outside of having that protector there.
Come on, Jamila.
What's happening, Fitz? Okay.
This is coming in.
I know I ain't got no sense.
Coming in. Get ready.
Okay. Let's get it on. I am the core of my village. You as an individual are always the core of your village. So whatever it is that you're looking for, so let's take the diagram of the 3 circles. In the middle of those 3 circles is always the center. All of those rings come together and build that one circle. That is you. So you can have a number of rings around you, a number of different villages, as Mel was talking about, as Julian was talking about, as Sharondia were talking about. You can have a number of villages around you, but you are the core. So now what is it that you need for your soul? For me, I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. At said point that I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble. So when I have found that for myself, I am a healer. I am the nurturer. I am the tough love mama auntie. That's who I am. And I recognize that and accept that. Now, because I know that about myself, at some point I need to be poured into because I'm pouring into other people all the time. It is not fair for me to just sit in my village and everybody's coming to TTJ and Mama J and always looking and I'm healing and I'm feeding into other people. Where does the nurturer go to be nurtured? Where does the teacher go to be taught? Where does the leader go to follow? These things are important. So in one instance, in one of those circles, you might be the leader, but in this circle, you might be the follower. Go learn you something over here in this village. Be the teacher. Teach these people over here. That is, you are the core soul tie of what you need your village to look like. And at said point, if a ring isn't looking right in my village, I don't have a problem extracting it at all. And it's necessary to keep that flow. I love the symbol, the infinity symbol. I love the way it flows. I love the way it moves. There is a tide in that, a very calming tide in how the infinity symbol flows. I am looking for that spiritual guidance. I am looking for literally somebody that I can cry to and know that it's a safe space. I am looking for somebody that I can laugh with until I cry. There are so many facets to what a person can look for within their village and what brings peace to their village. That is the number one thing that anybody, when you start saying, okay, what do I want my village to look like? If it's not bringing you peace and happiness, and you don't feel like you're in a safe space in that village, whether you are being reprimanded by an elder, I believe in having elders in my village. I believe, yes, there should be children in my village, because what am I doing just flapping my gums and not teaching anybody anything? Um, but that village has got to bring you peace. If it's not bringing you peace, you need to look at those rings around you and extract whatever is not bringing you peace, and move forward and connect. And there might be somebody else from another village that assimilates within yours. I love the term assimilate. I am such a Trekkie. I am a huge Trekkie, but it's one of those things where everybody always looked at that particular group of people within Star Trek as a bad thing, but I don't look at it as a bad thing, because at some point, if you can join forces and actually move together and flow together in our as the church would say, in our sanctified imaginations, oh, what a world this would be if you learn to move together and flow together. But the luxury is that in your core village, you can do that. And that's what you're looking for, in my opinion. That's what you're looking for when you are talking about building a village, and what those people that you're looking for in the village. Those are the things that you have to ask yourself. It's not something that we can say, okay, you need a nurturer, you need a teacher, you can't do that. You have to look for what you need within your village. And I yield my time.
Okay, so I'm gonna speak on this one also. Um, in my circle, I tend to be the nurturer because I want to take care of everybody. But like Coach Miller just said, who takes care of who nurtures the nurturer? Who's the caregiver for the caregiver? And they can't, because they don't know how to release that. So I tend to be the nurturer in the group. I tend to want to take care of everybody and love on everybody and make sure no one feels any type of way. What I gravitate, sometimes in years past, I gravitate to the broken, or they gravitate to me, because I could be in the middle of the store, and like Julian said, you could be part of my circle because we're in the store and happen to strike up a conversation. I gravitate. If you have a story, you have a journey, you need to talk about it. Come on, I'm all ears. Let's go. Same thing with what Sharondia says. Sometimes I'm only that in a season. That's what I'm doing for you. You only needed me for a minute to help push you back on your feet. But from Mel, like she says, it one hit wonder. Don't call her with that. But I'm the one you call crying every other night, cause yeah, I'm the one who will sit up in the middle of the night. What's wrong? It's 2 o'clock in the morning. Okay, what's wrong? You crying? And it's been even deeper than that. I have had moments where someone's name will come across my mind and wake me up out of my sleep, and I will call them, what's wrong? I'm the nurturer. I'm an empath. I absorb your feelings. That's my role in the circle, but it takes a toll. So this leads to my next question. With whatever role that you play in other people's circle, how does it affect you personally? How do you set up boundaries? What you're willing to give to this village versus what is required, or is there even a requirement? We're gonna start there. Is there a requirement? And if so, what does it feel like? What is it in this particular situation? What is it that we are needing to do in these villages, because it's different? Okay. Same rotation from last time. Let's go.
Oh, okay. Yes, I do set boundaries. When I feel I get like Melody, and I will tell my friends, look, I will I will listen 2 or 3 times, and I'm gonna and I'll ask you, what hat do you want me to put on? Do you want me to put on a hat? You know, the if I'm talking to my girlfriends, do you want me to put on that girlfriend hat that says girl? I'm a cuss on Facebook. Fuck him. Fuck that nigga. You know what I'm saying? He don't know what he's missing. You's a good woman. The fuck is he doing? You know? Or shall I put on my mama hat and go, baby, look, maybe you should just let this go and just just you know or do you just want me to be quiet and just listen to you drone until I go, girl, I'm finna go to sleep. We've talked about this so many times, you know. How I can't say nothing else. I didn't give you all the info. I didn't send you I didn't send you the exploration of her. I didn't send you I told you Miss Melody got a freaking blog going on. Bitch, you know how to use the shit. Use the tools that I gave you. Use your tools. You know. And I mean, because I just had to tell a friend of mine that I could no longer listen to her complain about her partner. I said, because if you're not going to do anything about it, I'm going to have to ask you to pick another friend. You know, when you want to talk about something else, pick me. And I've had to set those boundaries. I mean, I do it with my kids when they were really young. And I would come home from work, and they're so excited to see mama. She's here. Let's just tell her everything. I actually trained my children. They knew how to tell time before they could even spell because I would tell them, give mama 20 minutes. I would show them the clock and say, give me this much time to go and decompress. So when I come at you, I'm coming at you like mama and not like I'm still at work. So you 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 have to set boundaries because if not, um Michelle, I, if you're thinking about me at 2 o'clock in the morning, could you please wait until at least 9 to call me? Write down what you got to say. Write it down. Because if you call me at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm not going to answer because I've had to do that to some of my friends. Well, I'll look over at my phone and be like, I don't want to. I'm not going to. And I'll just flip my phone right over. Okay. But I mean, but I know that if it's important, you'll call me back. You'll call me like twice. If you call me twice, something's happening. So I'll pick up the phone. But if you call me once and don't ever call me back until 9 a.m., oh, I know you just needed to get some stuff off your chest. So yes, with even with the village, you 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 have to set boundaries because if you don't, it's like watching a person who is an activist. I live with an activist. And when I tell you it is so hard for him to shut off, it's so hard for him to not answer that phone when we're just laying around watching Stephen Colbert. First of all, it's almost midnight if we're watching Stephen. And whoever that is, they can wait until tomorrow. Please don't answer that phone. Put it on mute, whatever you got to do to not hear it. But it's hard for him to do that and to keep those boundaries set. So yeah, with the village, yeah, you better because if not, you're gonna be. I used to be the yes girl. Yes, 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 yes. I'll help you host your party. or I'll come to a party and this is your party. You are the host. How the hell did I get in the damn kitchen? Why am I cooking? Why am I making sure that your guests are doing what I'm supposed to be a guest? How did I become co-hostess here? So you have to set those boundaries. And my favorite word in my boundary land, I call it boundary land, is no. And I yield my time.
Ooh, that no is a powerful word. It is wonderful. um, I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question? I was so engaged with Sharondia's statement. I believe the question was, setting boundaries in your, yeah. Where do you draw the line in your village? So I like Jamila's statement about I'm the core of my village. And if I'm the core of my village, then I get to set the boundaries in my village. Um, and therefore, I'm one of those people. Um, yeah, I'm one of those people that's like, no, don't call me at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm asleep and I'm on really good sleep medication. So I'm probably not going to hear it anyway. For those of you out there who have cell phones, you can create you can create a favorites list. And if those people call you back to back to back, it will still chime through your do not disturb. Otherwise, put your phone on do not disturb. You have to have time to recharge. As an extroverted introvert, I have learned that I can be the life of the party. I can crack up and tell stories and, be a clown. I can do all of that, but only if I take at least 1 weekend a month where I just disconnect from everybody and everything. And I have friends, and Miss Michelle and I share a friend who did not understand what that meant, and had trouble with taking that personally. Like, oh my God, what's wrong? Why are you disconnecting? And both of us, in separate conversations, we realize have explained that as an introvert, we recharge when we're alone. We get rid of all of our empathic energy, we cleanse, we reflect, we do all of that when we're alone. And so to be part of my village, I need those people who are in my village to understand that it's not about them. And that's one of the things I do look for. I mentioned before your spirituality, but recognizing life outside of yourself is a key factor to be part of my village. It is not always about you. It is not always about me. Sometimes we got to look past ourselves. Anyway, so whenever I meet people and they start to show those signs of, I've started, incorporating them into my village. I think they're cool peoples. I'm learning, they're learning. It's great. It's all butterflies and rainbows. And they start to show signs of, wait, I haven't heard from you for 2 days. What did I do? No, 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 no. This isn't going to work. If you don't understand, I don't need to talk to you every day. I don't ever, a lot of people have heard me say, I don't ever want to get married because I don't want to be in your space 24/7. And I absolutely love the people I get in relationship with. I am like head over heels. I'm in love with being in love. I'm a complete romantic, but I do not want to be in your energy every day. I want to come home to my space and debrief. So my village has to understand that about me. And that's how I'm able to get that peace in my village, that, recharge space and time. There are people that I can call and if I need to receive some sort of recharge and not just be in my own space, there are people in my village I can call for that, you know. But I'm also it's very hard for me to sit in my body to understand what I'm feeling. I always go to the mind. And when you are that kind of person, when you always go to the mind, you're the kind of person who like calls everybody to have the conversation, right? And get everybody's opinion. But the only way for me that I really connect with what I'm feeling and I'm able to, you guys probably see me do this a lot, or I hold my hands in my heart. It's how I connect with my body, and I need my space for that. So the people in my village know that I am ride or die. I got your back. Between the hours of 10 in the morning and 8 o'clock at night, that's when you got me. 10 in the morning and 8 o'clock at night. If you are on my favorites list and you call me back to back, I will pick it up if I'm not on sleep meds. I'm not your emergency contact. I'm really not. And that's the thing. So I think when we're talking about the village, and I can't wait for Mr. Ken to get in here, you have to be authentic. You have to stand in the truth of who you are. When you do that, your village is so easy to navigate. Your surrounding, the villages that you're a part of, that other people aren't a part of. And that's what I realized when I was like, why do I have a problem with my people groups mixing? It's because I recognized I wasn't being authentically me in each of those groups. So when people got together, they were going to share stories where other people were going to be like, whoa, that's not the Melody I know. Not like bad, like I'm a psycho killer or anything, but with some groups, with my family, I felt this compulsive need to always be the mom. I'm the oldest daughter, but I have a mom. But even still, I am the matriarch in my family. When my grandmother passed, her spirit just downloaded. And now I am the matriarch of my family. And I wasn't setting boundaries with them that I was setting with other people. So when those other people would meet my family, they'd be like, whoa, 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 whoa. How you going to tell us that we need to set these boundaries with our family, but you don't set these boundaries with yours? And when I realized that the only way for my villages to be to satisfy my soul's needs and for me to satisfy those the needs of those souls was to be authentically me in every situation with every person I meet. I don't have to worry about boundaries. I notice this, and I say this to people all the time. If you stand in who you are, people will either rise up and join you or they'll fall away. You don't have to say a word. Be who you are, stand in who you are, and people will figure it out and join you. They'll elevate, or they'll go, whoa, you are too much for me. I'm out. And that's how I manage the expectations of my village.
Come on, Julian.
How do I follow that now? So expectations and boundaries. Yeah, that's new for me. So I would say just within the last few years, I started learning how to set boundaries for people because I gave them full 100% access to me. Being a protector and all, it's always, you need me, call me. I don't care what time of day. And that's how it's always been all the time. I use that favorites list too, but my favorites list is like this short. There are only 2 people on my favorite list, and those are my kids. Everybody else, I give them, I tell them, you can call me anytime you need me, if it's important, I'll answer or whatever. Within a certain time. But what I've started doing is, let's say I have a partner, so my evening time, my phone I won't put it on do not disturb, but I will put it on a limitation. So within them certain hours, I won't answer. I might look at it. If I notice the person's calling back, I'm like, okay, it's got to be an emergency because they keep calling, or they know. Usually I let them know, hey, shoot me a text, or if it's really important, just shoot me a text because I'm not going to answer because I need to, have my time or whatever. And I've been learning how to do that with just myself too, because I always give. And as far as like replenishing and all of that stuff, yeah, that's something I'm still learning. I'm still trying to get that niche, because that's, yeah, I'm learning that. But I think what let me know that I needed to start setting boundaries was, for example, being a protector. I can think of 4 different couples that I knew that had domestic violence issues. And anyone that knows me well knows that that's a huge trigger for me. So I don't play when it comes to that. Um, I had a family member that was killed through that, and I have another one that's permanently disfigured. So I take that very, very seriously. So much so where I can see somebody on the street, and I have had instances where it's people I don't know, and I will stop my car, I will stop walking, and I will intervene. And sorry, and I had these couples that would come to me because, where one of the parties would come to me because they was having trouble. So I would always go to the rescue to intervene somehow, whether it was to get in between them, whether it's to converse with one of them, whatever it was, I was always there, but like you ladies have been saying, they go back, or, the person just repeats the cycle. So after years of constantly doing that, I had to finally be like, look, you're calling me for help, but you keep going back. You're not heeding to any of the advice I'm giving, and I'm trying my hardest here. It's pointless. At this point, it's pointless. So the next time, you're gonna have to call someone else. That's when I knew to start. That's how I learned to start setting boundaries. So I'm still working on that. With other issues, people will come to me, and if it's the same thing over and over, you'll get a couple of times out of me, and then by the third time, it's, hey, we got to get this tough love in. I done gave you this advice. I gave you directions and guidance. Granted, advice is just that, and it's not for you. Don't have to take what I say, but if you're not taking it in consideration and you're constantly asking me the exact same question over and over, and I'm giving you the exact same answer, we now got a little bit of craziness going on. Because from what I learned about Webster's dictionary, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome each time. So this is a no-go for me, because now you're stressing me out, and my psyche, my aura is all off balance, because I'm stressing out over how to help you. So now I must walk away. I must digress. And so that's what I've been learning how to do to separate from there. So I give kudos to all you ladies and being able to do so, because this guy right here is just learning how to set these boundaries. And it's tough. It's tough. Let's see, what was the other part of it? Do you give a limit? Well, obviously you got to give a limit, because that's how you got to set your boundaries. So it's a matter of knowing how far to go, or how far you can go to know what your limit is to be set. So usually I know I give it a couple of times. That third time, I'm gonna check it up to, okay, maybe that first time you just didn't really get it. Like you said, Miss Melody, maybe you were hysterical or something. The second time, maybe you just didn't quite understand, but I'm about to make sure you understand now, because I'm gonna break it down Barney style. And that's something I tend to do. And I do it so much. Oh, another thing. So I have a tendency, because I've been taken, or should I say not taken, for the words that I give sometimes. So to make sure there's no confusion, I break it down as Barney style as I can, and I give an analogy every single time. For me, that's my way to give that person an opportunity to tell me, hey, yo, bro, I don't understand what you're talking about. I don't understand what you mean. So then I now can break it down further to make sure there's clarity. So you have no excuse for not understanding what I'm saying, where I'm coming from, where I'm going, where I've been. And so now if you choose to not conform, you're on your own. And that's how I've been learning, doing my boundaries.
Can I just say, I know I keep interjecting, but I mean, you guys are so like, y'all are giving me so much wisdom tonight. Can I just say, like, I'm watching the comments, and we have some folks who are saying it's really hard to say no, and it's I'm not sure about from the male perspective. So right now I'm going to speak from the woman's perspective. From the woman's perspective, we are raised that no is not an acceptable answer. And you know, what we feel and what we experience is second to being a mother, being a wife, you know, being whatever a nurse, you know, a helper, a teacher. And so the no is extraordinarily hard for a woman to learn that life lesson. Um, and you know, Julie and I, you know, I'm aware of your transition situation, so I can understand why just now you are learning this lesson, right? You know, you're retraining your DNA, your psyche, and your brain to understand that no is an acceptable answer. But for everybody out there listening, there have been some great advice for how to say no in the comments. Um, I start. The only way to do is to practice. Start saying no. Start being okay with being uncomfortable, right? Be uncomfortable with the no. It's going to make you like cringe. You're going to lose friends. You're going to lose family. You're going to lose lovers. You absolutely are. But if they can't understand, and this is such a hard lesson for us to learn, if they can't understand that sometimes, excuse me, you have to say no to put yourself first, they're not in your corner. They are not in the village that you are the core of. Like Coach Jay said, like you got to kick that circle to the side because they are not supporting your core village. Start with the no. Start with the you. And like I said, everybody will elevate or fall away.
Preach, Mel.
I like the fact that you said say no and be uncomfortable, because that is something that I use when I talk to people and stuff. Because I'd be like, look, you gotta say no, you gotta be uncomfortable to grow. And then I always give the analogy, I'd be like, okay, when you think about how you go in school, you know, when you go from fifth grade to sixth grade, because in most schools, you know, fifth grade is the end of your elementary year. So when you go from fifth grade to sixth grade to middle school, when you go from middle school to high school and from high school to college, there's always that nervousness of being uncomfortable. You know, you're scared, you're nervous to do it, but it's something you must do, and you have to do it. So you do it. But then once you get familiarity, once you go to the next level and level up, you begin to become more comfortable and you get out of that. Every time you do something new, you are putting yourself in an uncomfortable position. That is the same thing you must do with saying no, which is why I finally started learning how to do so. You know, and that's it's important to be able to do that so you can level up. You got to get uncomfortable, because once you're comfortable and you don't grow, you stay stagnant. So even if it's staying stagnant with your what we call it boundaries, you stay stagnant with your boundaries. So now you can't grow even within your own village. Your village ain't grown, and then if it grows, it's gonna grow negatively. So because you're gonna have the wrong type of energy, you're gonna have the wrong type of individuals. So then actually it's not really growing, right? Because if you got a whole bunch of negativity around you, that's not real growth. You know, that's I don't know the phrase I'm thinking about. But it's the wrong type of growth. Because I guess you can grow if it's negative, but it's still wrong growth. So I just confused myself. But anyway, yeah.
Jillian, I understand because it's actually it's regressing, not progressing. Because you want to be proactive and you want to be progressive in your village. And you're right. The first time I said no to someone, they did not talk to me for like a month, and it irked me. Like I wanted to call back and go, okay, I'll do it. Just, please talk to me. But I did not do it. I was like, shoot, because when I needed that same person who I had just said no to way before, they told me no. Oh,
Right.
I can't do that. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm not mad, but I gotta find somebody who will. So I gotta hang up. I'm not mad at you, but I gotta go to the next person, you know. And when I said no to that person, they got really angry. Like, you've done it before. I said, well, I know I did it before, but you know what? I'm not comfortable with doing that. And that's what it comes down to too. It is, are you comfortable with that? And then you have to be verbal and say, I'm not. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interject. I just love what you were saying.
Jamila.
Kevin Hart says it this way.
Nope.
No. It is a complete sentence. It is done. It is finished. We're not having this conversation anymore. I'm not losing sleep over it. I'm done crying over it. I'm done fighting. No, no is an absolute complete sentence. And it is beautiful. It took me 40 years to understand that. That is my boundary. No. Now, when you get into pineapples, right? I'm uncomfortable with this situation. No. Um, when you get to a place and space where you recognize that number one, you can say no, and that there is power and strength in those two letters with the period. And the period, that one little dot is the most important part. No, period. When you get to that place, now, for me, understanding my empathic gift, understanding who I am as a life coach, understanding who I am as a healer, it's difficult to create absolute boundaries in a lot of my circles because I recognize that people do come to me for advice, for guidance, things like that. In the last 5 years, I have had to learn that I am only now, and this is the boundary that I gave myself, I am only allowed to give from my saucer. You can't have my cup. My cup is my peace. My cup is my happiness. That's, when I go to the beach and refill my joy and my life, my peace and my full cup is shop therapy. My peace and my joy is me going out and having a fantastic meal. That's for me. That's for me. So now I can pour into you because I have absolutely taken the time to self care. That is self care and meditation. If at all I had any boundaries, I do take the time to do those things. Meditation and prayer is so vitally important in my life to maintain keeping the toxic from my life. There is one thing for people to be negative, it's another for them to be toxic. Toxic is poisonous, toxic is dangerous. And I refuse to allow that to be in my life. I am a sage. Listen, I have sage for everything. I have Palo Santos for everything. If you don't like the way it smells in my house, it's working. We good. We straight. You don't like it? There's the door. You know, there's the door. But it is so important that for me, and definitely I encourage people, like everyone else on the panel has said, it is vitally, vitally important. Number one, to learn to say no. And number two, even if, like I said, I don't necessarily have the luxury to have that, you can't call me between this hour and that hour. I don't necessarily have that luxury because of the business that I'm in. Um, but I do recognize that, you know what? If I pick up the phone and I happen to be with some friends at dinner, I'm at dinner right now. Is this urgent? Is this an urgent matter? Or can I call you back when I'm free and I have, more free time to be able to talk and discuss this matter? If it's one of those things where it's a life or death kind of situation, which obviously rarely it is, but I will call you back, and I make it a point to make sure that I call those people back, and so that they know that they can depend on me as a coach, as their friend, as their sister, whoever I am in their village. Um, But when it comes, again, when it comes to those boundaries, I only give from my saucer. And it is important as individuals that you learn to give from your saucer, and don't let anybody poison your cup, because if you let somebody poison your cup, guess what you're giving? More poison. You give it from your saucer, but now it's poisonous. So be mindful of those things, in terms of what your village looks like, how you are engaging in in your village circles. How, what are you pouring from? Are you pouring from your cup? And if you're pouring from your cup, that's dangerous too, because now you're tired, you're exhausted, you don't want to be around people. And I am very much an ambivert. I love being by myself, but I love being out with people too. Even though I think Earth is ghetto, I do. I think Earth is ghetto, but it's important to make sure that all of those dynamics are, adhered to in your life, to make your village comfortable for you, because you are the core soul tie of your village. I yield.
Well, I think we got Mr. K Fitz. I think we got him in now. Um, I'm waiting on it to see if he confirms that for me. Because if so,
Yeah.
oh, here we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Chucky ducky quack quack. Chucky ducky quack quack.
Okay.
All right, yo. Hey,
Okay.
all right, real quick before I go into everything. Hey, please remind me of the question. I've had some difficulties getting logged in. Where we at right now?
So the question we have right now is the boundaries of the circle. The boundaries of the circle. Where to draw the line at with the village. Let them run over you, and then you say, "Hey, wait, run over you," and then you say, "Hey, boundaries within this, within."
All right, here we go. All right, so first and foremost, everybody, yo, what up? It's me. It's your boy K Fitz, and I'm excited to be here. And with that being said, if you don't already have your seatbelts on, ladies and gentlemen, put your seatbelt on. Put the seat back and recline, because I'm about to drive you, unfortunately, in the opposite direction. Here's my honest perspective. There really is no such thing as a village the way that we used to see it anymore. So when it comes to setting boundaries, it's difficult. You see, there was a time frame where the village was mommy, daddy, brother, sister, uncle, auntie, and that was great. It was grand. It was spectacular. That's great and cute and all. But I got bad news for you. That no longer truly exists anymore, because based on the family that you grew up in today's modern society, not everybody gets the opportunity to grow up with the perfect family where everyone has the resources, the knowledge, the capabilities, the girth to be able to stand up for you in the midst of trials and tribulations. We don't live in that era anymore. So what I'd like to welcome you to is Village 2.0. Village 2.0 consists of those family members that you can genuinely trust, advocates in the form of friends who, as you begin to grow older and more experienced in life, you begin to deal with people and you figure out, this person is good for me, that person is excellent for me, this person on a balance sheet, when we're talking finances, is a liability, and the only thing I need in my life are assets until I find stakeholders that I can get equity from. So you got to get rid of them. This is who the new village is. It's not internal to your family anymore. So I want to put that up front so people dead this mentality. And you know what? I'm going to add one more family member. And here's a fun fact for many. Guess who has become the latest member of the village and more than likely will launch Village 3.0? It has become social media. The people that are listening right now, because literally you are sitting here supporting a program being done by a Black woman that is trying to do positive things. Now, this doesn't mean she can get the rest of her family together to sit down and listen. I guarantee auntie and uncle aren't sitting there right now putting likes, which, by the way, if you haven't liked already, please drop a like. I am waiting. I'll pause for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much. I appreciate your service. But with all of that being said, going back to the question of boundaries, it is extremely difficult to establish boundaries in this society because you're dealing with so many different people with so many different mentalities that it's not the challenge of setting boundaries with the people around you. It's the challenge of you setting boundaries for yourself, because there are a lot of people that when we are in need, we can't get to a boundary of saying, okay, I've crossed that threshold of where I've done all I can do. Now I need to seek assistance. I have now reached that point where I've realized that this person is no longer good for me, and I need to withdraw from having them around me. Don't forget, just because someone is within your village does not mean that they cannot be exiled at any moment based on the actions, the communication, the loyalty that they provide to you. So when we talk about boundaries, it's great to discuss it, but what really matters more is your ability to establish clear boundaries for yourself, because that will be the difference between success and failure, between like and loyalty, and the difference potentially in the wrong situation between life or death. I yield my comments. Good to be here.
Okay. So now for our next question, when we talked about boundaries, we talked about roles. So let's next question is, Ken brought up a great point. The village as we know it, how much has it changed? Is it totally gone? Is it, like he said, just revamped, or is it just gone and the young ones done lost their way? What's going on with the village this day and age? We're gonna start with Melody, go to Sharondia, Julian, Jamila, and we're gonna wrap it up with Ken. Let's go.
I'm so sorry. I was trying to get your likes up on Facebook. Can you read the question again?
So it's fine, it's fine. The new village, like Ken was saying, that village is totally revamped from what we did back in the day. So how has it changed? Is it really a village any longer? Is it, like he said, just revved up, and with the third part being social media? What's going on with the village now versus then?
Well, Mr. Ken has had my vote about this concept of the expansion of the village since the very first call for me. And I have been, even when he's not on, I'm like, y'all remember what Mr. Ken said? Because he is absolutely correct. It is absolutely true. And what we've been talking about tonight is we are talking about, none of us have just have just included only family in our village. We have all by default been talking about the expansion of the village, which I think is very interesting, that none of us went straight to, well, I go to this auntie and this mama and this, grandmama. I mean, big mamas are a dying, group out there. And y'all just heard me say, I'm 42 and I'm the big mama of my family. I have a whole mama who's 21, 22 years older than me. But in my immediate family, I am the voice of my grandmother. So you absolutely will fail in this world if you only live within the village of your family. And we can go on and on about how technology has improved or destroyed our bonds within society and interpersonal relationships. That's a whole nother conversation, but technology has done exactly what Mr. Ken said. It has allowed us to go beyond our family. It has allowed us to go beyond people we will ever meet and expand our village to meet our needs. I'm not in this new Gen Z, whatever they are before them, Y generation. So I'm a little less forthright with my social media than they are. But I have met people on social media, you folks who are on this, that I'm like, oh yeah, I need these people in my village. I don't think the village was necessarily working before. And Mr. Ken and I may disagree on this. I'm not sure. I don't know that I think I have heard you talk, Mr. Ken, about how the village has failed. I know I just didn't want to put words in your mouth. I don't believe that the village was working before either. When human beings only have a very limited group to interact with, you know, and I speak from the biology and the soul. Y'all know me, I'm right and left brain. When we only engage with a very limited population, we don't grow, we don't expand, you know, right? Because when we grow and when we expand and when our souls and psyches and spirituality, and when all of that grows within us, if you look at humankind over the millennia, it's because we've expanded, we've gone out, we've went to new environments, we've explored new places. And Elon Musk would have us, you know, out here in space hanging out with the Martians to expand outside of ourselves. That's how we grow as a civilization, as a person. So the village before, only dealing with your mom, your grandmother, your great grandmother, who never left, you know, their village. That's it. This is all they've ever known. It's great in terms of longevity and understanding of what has happened to your people over the years. I do believe that one of the negative side effects is we've lost the story, right? We've lost the history and the story of who we are as a people. But at the same time, you can't grow just based on the same story over and over. Change does not happen if you continue to live by the story that's been handed down for 200 years and don't get other stories. If you look at any major religion, they all have a very similar creation story, but each one has a little tweak. What does that mean? That means that they all got that story from each other, right? So they expanded out and learned what other people and other cultures and civilizations were saying. So the original village did not enhance us as a civilization in terms of growth. The new village is the one detriment that I see is we are not connecting with each other on a human to human, soul, personal level. There are people out there who don't actually touch another human being more than maybe once a month, when they actually get together with a friend or family and they may hug. And if you think about all of the depression, all of the chaos, the spousal abuse, the child abuse, the divorce, everything that was happening over COVID, I guarantee you that if scientists start to study that, they will find that it's because of a lack of human contact, because people were not able to touch each other. We need that, right? So as we're expanding our village, we cannot forget that some of our village does have to be people in our immediate grasp. It does need to be. I do consider my mom, my sister, my brother-in-law, they are my village. They absolutely are. But we just had a conversation this weekend. Each of us has had a moment in our relationships where it could have ended if someone else in that village hadn't said, come on, we need to sit down, we need to have a conversation, and we need to get our shit together. But it could have ended and we would have been okay with that, right? Because like you said, like everyone on this panel has been saying, if you do not serve the peace and what I am trying to do and grow in my village, you cannot be a part of my village, right? And so that comes with being able to have conversation and say to each other, look, this isn't working for me. What are we going to do to change this so that we can remain in each other's villages? But I wholeheartedly believe that the village that we have now for the world that we exist in now is the village that we need. We cannot, one of the saddest things when I moved to Baltimore City, one of the saddest things that I heard is that there are children in Baltimore City who will never leave their city like 4-block range. Their parents never left, their grandparents never left. Baltimore City is set up so that your elementary, middle, and high school, unless you matriculate into one of the charter schools for high school, is all in your neighborhood. So there are people who will never, ever, ever leave Greenmount, the community of Greenmount in Baltimore City, which is a high crime poverty area. They do not know that there is something better because they're not giving an opportunity to leave that village. That is sad to me, right? The only way that we grow is to get out there and experience other things. Now, before all of y'all say, but don't forget where you come from, that's not what I'm saying. I still remember where I came from. I still remember the stories that have been passed down from generation to generation. But I want my children, or in my case, my nephews, because I'm not doing the kid thing, but I want my nephews and my goddaughter to do better, to see better, to experience more, right? I don't want them to be stuck in my story. I'm going to do what Mr. Ken said that our elders didn't do for him. And I'm going to pass down my knowledge. I'm going to pass down my soul and my experiences and say, look, this is what I see you heading towards. And I'm just going to share with you, when I was on that path, this is where I was headed. This is the pain that I experienced that I didn't have to if I had listened to my mama and my grandmother. But from here, that's all I can give you. You now have to go make that decision. You know, I went to South Africa. I had the great opportunity, and then I'm going to yield my time to go to South Africa for 2 weeks when I was 18. And I had been out of the country. No, I'm sorry. That was my first time out of the country, but I had been out of the state and experienced people from all around the country. But that was my first time out of the country. I went to the motherland. And now I know that I have several, like part of my ancestry does come from there. So I went to experience a whole nother culture of people. And one of the things that they said about me that they felt was unique from the other Americans they had met is that I actually just sat and talked to the people from there. We stayed on a college campus. We stayed at the University of Cape Town while everyone else was out partying and, you know, going to the beach and all that. I stayed on the college campus and had a conversation with the resident assistants. I wanted to know what life was like for them. Apartheid had just recently ended. Nelson Mandela had just been recently freed. You could still see water fountains and bathrooms that said for colors only. The statue of Rhodes was still there. Like, you know, it was a time of great change and turmoil and also hope for that country. And I wanted to learn what that was like. That 2-week experience did the most change for me in terms of how I view the world than any experience before then, because I got to see life outside of my own little village. And that broadened everything. So to Mr. Ken's point, we absolutely cannot rely on the village of yesteryear, but we can't forget that village either.
I totally agree with you, Melody. The village has changed a lot. I know mine has changed a lot. Like the question was earlier about roles in the village. I have people that I can go to and talk about certain things. Um, for example, my mom got upset with me because I didn't come to her about my relationship. And I said, why would I do that? And she said, well, I'm your mother. And I said, well, I know you're my mom, but mama, you're not in a relationship. Like, why, why would I talk to you? I mean, I'm not meaning to sound like that to her, but it's facts. Like, why am I going to talk to you about my relationship and you're not in one? You can give me your past experiences, yes, but I needed something recent. So I have folks that I go to if I want to know about married stuff. I'm gonna go to people who've been married and I know for a fact that they're happy. You know, that they still like one another. So I go to people who I feel will help me with what I need. Um, I use my village that way, and I mean I know that I'm a part of other people's villages because they call me and ask questions, and I'm like, oh yeah, and I'll answer those questions for them. You know, but it's changed because Melody, you're right. This we don't we s- we stop teaching, and a lot of the times the parents are just so young that they don't know. You know, I knew a family, 4 generations of women, and they were dumb as rocks. Like the like some of the stuff that they would say, I'd be like, who are you talking to? Like, why would you advise anybody to do any of the stuff that you're suggesting? You know, if I am mad at my partner, why would I slash his tires? If I, like, why would I do that? You know, just stuff like that. So for me, the village has changed. It's broadened. Social media has has made it that way. Look at us on Facebook. We are in all these little groups to get what? To get what we need from that group, you know. Um, we still start off, to me, from age uh, from the time that you are born until at least 5. Yes, you are still surrounded by mainly family, but the way families are nowadays, you never know. You know, I know with my family, it consisted of my ex-husband, his new wife, he and I, kids, her kid, then her kid had a kid. And I mean, it just we were a village together, you know. And a lot of people kind of frowned upon that village. And I said, why would you do that? Like, I got somebody else to help me to raise my kids. They're going to live. I'm not going to kill them because I have help. You know, I'm not all, don't laugh at me, Melody. I'm all stressed out over what these kids are doing. I can pick up the phone and I would literally bypass my ex-husband and call his wife and go, girl, please keep me from killing these kids. What are they doing? You know, we had to work together. You know, we had to work together, and but I think that in a way, and it's happening in small bursts, we are starting to build a village again. I don't know what anybody else is saying, but I've been in Nashville for a really long time. I've been here since I was 13 and I'm now 49. And the people I see who rally around people that they don't even know. I don't even know you, but it doesn't matter. You need help. I see it. Let's do this. You know, to me, that's how the media, I mean, that's how the village has changed. And with social media, it helps the village because when we can see, you know, we're more prone to give. Um, and that's all I have to say.
Okay, am I go right? Um,
Yep.
So the question is, how much has it changed? Is it totally gone? Was it revamped? What's going on with it? As far as has it changed or how much has it changed, I don't know. I think it's kind of like a double-sided sword because I feel like it's changed, but I also feel like it's not that it changed, but that it's kind of fell by the wayside. And then not so much that it's changed or even fell by the wayside as much as it's been ignored. Um, so I remember growing up in the village that I have, was, basically just my legit birth, born into family. And then, the neighborhood collective, get in trouble. You got your tail, well, I got my tail beat all the way from the corner store down through the neighborhood till I got home and then got whooped again because that neighbor got me, then that neighbor got me, and everybody got me, and I got in trouble all the way down the line. Or with knowledge or whatever, I received knowledge from everybody as well. But I think that with this day and age, we don't have so much of that because there's so much going on. Everybody's scared to talk to somebody else's kid. Everybody's scared. You can't touch anybody else's kid. And then you got the couple of generations of kid having kids. So the parental age has dropped down more and more drastically. So the matriarch or the patriarch of the family is either gone or isn't really there or they're there, but they're so young that they didn't get a chance to learn the things that they need to learn or whatever, or even see and experience, in their surroundings. So there's nothing to pass on. Or what they have to pass on is just so needing help that it falls short. However, I believe that there's those instances where the makeup of the village now, where we get to pick, where we're really leaning towards a lot of picking and choosing who we want to have in our village. Especially since nowadays more people are comfortable with having family that isn't always blood, families who is your support systems, family being who is there to give you what you need and not so much what you want. Because I know I tend to definitely have those people around me. I don't want yes people around me or in my village. Don't tell me what I want to hear, because if you tell me what I want to hear or give me what I want, then the stuff that I need and the things that the things that are necessary for my growth, I'm not going to get. And that's not going to be a good thing, so by bringing around people that you can select, you're allowed to select and see things for who brings that strength that you need for where you're lacking. That's of vital importance to me. So where is it totally gone? I definitely believe it's revamped. Do I believe it's totally gone? No, I think it's just changed in so many different ways, even to where Melody was pointing out about how, okay, I can't remember verbatim, but basically where you were saying how it's different, it's still there, but it's different. And then when you look at where we're at with social media and being able to bring people in from places that you've never even been or got to see, that adds a lot. And to piggyback off of what you ladies said about, what you said, Melody, about being able to have gotten out of your village to get basically more culture from other places, I definitely think that's a vital key, because I grew up definitely in one of them cities where everything is right there and they try to keep you right there. There's so many people that I know where I grew up that have never left that area, and like for me, I was a fresh air fun kid. I grew up in New York City, in as inner city as you can get, but by going to fresh air fun for my entire youth, that allowed me to see that, okay, going from the city to the country, there was something else. There were other families. There's this, there's farming, there's countryness, there's fishing, you know, which allowed me to be like, to get my mindset, okay, I can leave home. Like, and I'm doing this. So now, not only am a kid leaving, now I'm a young adult and I leave, you know, going to the military, you know, and my mind is trained that I don't have to stay here and I can absorb and build in culture. Now I'm meeting more people from many more places, and I'm instilling, and that village is growing, you know, and changing and utilizing the fact that I'm now being surrounded by others, you know, and which was something that I instilled in my children, you know, get out, not just, I mean, get out, but but get out and venture off, live your life. You can't live your life based off of how I live my life, because that may not be what works for you. You know, even if you come to the point to where you find out that you want to stay where you are, you won't know that unless you go somewhere, go visit somewhere, go out and venture off on your own to know that, you know what, going over there really wasn't for me. I need to stay put. But you'll never know if you don't go and leave. And you need that. You need to get those experiences for the village to be able to grow. In essence, you know, you got to bring in people, or you have to bring in people that have had other experiences, because again, if you have the same thing and it goes down and it goes down and it goes down, it will never change. That's kind of like a team that's always winning. If that team always wins and they don't know how to lose, when that time comes and they loses, it will fall apart, because they have not had the opportunity to lose and understand what it means to lose. So now they're devastated. And now when it comes time to being rebuilt, they don't know how to rebuild because they lost and they weren't prepared. So venturing out and gathering all these different people, gathering all these different things, and raising up this village helps it grow drastically and tremendously. And that is vitally important. And I guess that explains what I think is going on with it. A lot of it, like I said, there's a lot of changes in most aspects, but it's still that element of it having not changed at all, which is great for keeping the information going and passed down. But you got to have that new information come in order to build up that change and see growth in it. And I guess that is my digression. I yield.
All right, y'all. I am going to catch a lot of heat for what I'm about to say. And I am
Don't worry, I'm waiting.
All right. I am absolutely comfortable with this information. I love the village of old. I love the stories that were told. I love the lessons that were learned. Had I not got my butt whooped, my auntie and cousin and neighbor and them, I would not be the person that I am today. However, the village of old is trash, and it crashed and burned in the 90s. I will explain. Drugs, alcohol, domestic violence, rape, teen pregnancy, molestation. These are just a few of the things that our old villages swept under rugs, did not talk about, did not deal with. And now you have these fucked up individuals who don't know how to deal with things. None of us know. If you are absolutely, I would say 50 and under, if you are under the age of 50, you are a fucked up individual, and just accept my apology on behalf of our elders. Because, you know, it drives me crazy to hear my peers talk about, well, you know, in my family, we always had Uncle so-and-so, and we knew that he wasn't right, and we just kind of kept the kids away. Well, if you knew that he wasn't right and he was, you know, touching on the babies, why the hell, number one, why wasn't he in jail? How come wasn't nobody beating his ass? How come, you know what I'm saying? If you know that you have cousin so-and-so who is stealing mama's TV or auntie's TV, how come nobody beating his ass? How come ain't nobody checking? You know what I'm saying? We didn't check people back then. We swept it all under the carpet because we didn't want the neighbors to know what was going on in the family, because the family was the only village that we were allowed to have. So this 3.0 village, I embrace it. I embrace it wholeheartedly, because now, Julian, I choose you to be in my village. Mel, I choose you to be in my village. Ken, I choose you to be in my village. That is all social media. You know what I'm saying? And I've never met Ken face to face, but I promise you, that's my little brother to death. I promise you, he is. I love him. I love his thought patterns. I love his process. I love when we agree to disagree. And that is a healthy sense of village. In this particular era that we're in, it is a very, very healthy sense of village. And so I am going to yield because I know Ken is going to give it to me. Come on.
Come on, Ken, I gotta go. Round it out.
Yo, I had to take a deep breath before I said anything on this one. So here's the energy I'm coming with for this one. And I'm gonna take y'all a couple different directions, so bear with me. It's not a lot, but it's a lot. So here's where we're at. Number one, where's the village at now? Number one, let me start off by saying this. The village only benefits those who have parents that enabled discipline. We live in an age now where there are so many young people who have gained a sense of entitlement without putting in the work to enjoy the fruits of their labor. You know why? Because you can't enjoy fruit that you never planted the seed in order to harbor, to create, to benefit from eventually. Where we're at is we have a lot of parents, and I'm specifically locked in on parents right now, who saw the signs and the symptoms from young ages, but refused to discipline in an effective manner. And what that resulted in was kids who became rebellious, kids who fought back, who disagreed with the system because no one was over top of them explaining that this is why you do it this way. This is why you should communicate like this. This is why you should carry yourself like that. And because no one was there to teach them what right looks like, you're going to walk around displaying what wrong looks like. So number one, the big thing you can see with what is going on in the village right now is a lack of discipline amidst parents who do not have the backbone to hold their children accountable. Now, what type of impacts does that cause? Glad you asked. Back in 2017, there was an article that was put out by the Harvard Review, and one of the things that they discussed was the impacts of a lack of discipline in the modern day child. Some of the challenges that came up were, one, there was a lack of accountability from the child as they got older due to their sense of entitlement. Two, there was a higher risk of underage pregnancy. Number three, a lack of manners and presence to survive in corporate America, which led to, four, lower incomes from these individuals wondering why they couldn't get the money they felt they deserved. Why? Probably because you're not going to walk in making senior vice president money when you're working like an entry level individual who has the aspirations of going higher, but was not willing to put in the time and sweat equity to get where you wanted to go. Number five, they had a higher likelihood of being a product. Now catch this, super important. They had a higher likelihood of being a product of their environment versus serving as the potential of their environment. I'm going to say that again for the folks in the back, because there's somebody in the chat that needs to hear this, because this matters, and it might be one of you. So I'm going to say this one more time.
Woo.
A lot of young people, because of a lack of a village that disciplined them, but specifically mom and dad, patriarch and matriarch specifically, it led to a higher likelihood of a child displaying that they were a product of their environment rather than serving as the potential of their environment. Now, let's continue moving forward. The challenge we're running into now is that a lot of youth. So now we're going from the parents and now we're locking in on the individual that's impacted by the village themselves. The youth in the village have begun, and y'all better get ready because I'm about to say something real problematic. The youth in the village have begun weaponizing their nuclear family, meaning that if you do not discipline accordingly, of course they're going to walk out here doing what they want, because they know when they go home, there's no one to hold them accountable. So the lack of discipline from one side leads to an entitled, spoiled brat who thinks they can do whatever they want. And like it was said earlier, as soon as they lose for the first time in life, they get in trouble for the first time in life, they go to jail, they end up in the hospital, they end up hurt, they immediately run back to mommy and daddy, and mommy and daddy make it all better. They kiss boo-boos. Guess what? It's too late at that point. Because what should have happened was someone should have put them in a position where they could be disciplined, which brings us back to the parents, patriarch and matriarch once again. Now, we've talked about parents, we've talked about child. Let's pull the whole circle together, and I'm gonna close it out right here. The bottom line is, within a village, here's the unfortunate place we're at. Villagers, meaning people on the street, if you went to a corner store and did something wrong, that would call you out. If you were doing something in the street you shouldn't have done, that would see you doing that, would call you out. These individuals are no longer villagers. They have officially become martyrs. And the reason they become martyrs is because if they're willing to tell you you're wrong, they risk the child who is entitled sending a false message to parents that do not hold them accountable. Patriarch and matriarch, you see how I'm tying all this together? Stay locked in with me, people. They're going back to their parents, and the parents are assuming the message that the child is portraying, which is a false truth. It's their truth, but we know it's a lie. It's a false truth. And then they're going to go back and they're going to attack, whether it's verbally, whether it's at a business, whether it's financially, whether it's in court. They're going to go back and they're going to attack the person that tried to do the right thing by their child. I can't tell you how many times I've seen this. I have seen people do absolute wrong, jumping people. I have seen arguments. I've seen stabbing. I've seen on social media. I've seen cyberbullying, which, by the way, if you cyberbully, knock it off. Anyway, I've seen all of these different things. And when they go home, because there's no one there left or right that's going to hold them accountable, they won't hold the person in their house accountable, but they'll hold a person outside of their house accountable in a heartbeat, because of whatever reason they put inside of their mind that makes them feel like they're going to be a good parent when 9 to 12 o'clock comes across at night to where they can lay in bed at peace. The challenge now is that villagers are now in a position where they have to decide to be silent and watch you suffer in the future, or to be martyrs in the present and risk saving you now, knowing that they could potentially destroy themselves now. What we've come to now to bring all of this together, the reason that I said that this village is now in a 3.0, version 1 was your nuclear family. Version 2 was the friends that you meet throughout life. Version 3 now being social media. Fun fact, ain't it funny that cancel culture is being run by Village 3.0, i.e. social media, i.e. people that you don't see left or right, but someone in their house taught them ethics well enough to where they can log on their phone and tell you that what you're doing is not ethically, legally, or morally right. We are living in an era now where it is most important that we recognize that the village that will hold you the most accountable is 3.0, but the one that prevents you from getting destroyed by 3.0 is 1.0. Parents, and then holding a child accountable for doing the right thing. I yield my time.
That was awesome. Holy crap. You're like my new best friend right now.
You know what, Ken? I just want to jump in on that because one of my dear friends, he says all the time, and he's in his late 50s, early 60s, and he says to me all the time, this new way of parenting doesn't work. And I used to really like, at one point, now keep in mind, I've never tried to be my kid's friend. I'm not your friend. I'm your mother. I have a job. I have a job to do to build successful children, successful adults in this world. Um, but just listening to you and how you were speaking on it, I'm gonna have to call him later and say, you know what, you are absolutely right. This new way of wanting to be the best friend, it doesn't work. Wanting to, and I had an encounter when my son was in, I want to say second or third grade, probably closer to second grade, where he had an incident with his teacher, and his teacher literally body slammed my son. The and was the choke and it was a whole attack on a child. I know at that time my child was a difficult child. I am not one of those parents who can say that my children will do no wrong, because what I do know is that you will go outside of your home and test those boundaries. I am grateful that there were witnesses to what happened, because had I not had witnesses who called me, who called the police and talked about what was going on, it may have been um, easy to say, well, my son didn't do anything. No, my son been provoking her all year. Does that justify what she did? Hell no. However, recognizing and keeping people accountable is so important in terms of how we raise our children as a parent, and I'm still that old school. If I see that somebody is walking around with their pants up, I don't want to see that shit. Pull it up. And I'm gonna say it just like that. If a woman is improperly dressed, baby, I'm gonna need you to cover up because I don't want to see that, and nor should you want everybody to see it. These are the things that we learned from the older generation, but did not know they didn't know how to properly guide. I'll say it that way. They didn't know how to properly guide those ways and means. It was always, well, if you're asking why, well, because I said so. Sometimes because I said so just isn't a good enough answer. Sometimes because I said so will set you up for failure. Mama, well, why didn't you pull your pants up? Or why are you wearing your pants down like that? I don't know, I'm just doing it. I don't have a problem asking, why are you wearing your pants like that? It's the trend. It's the trend, and that's what I do. No, understand what your history is. I suggest you go and research that. If you need some help researching, feel free to text me. I will gladly help you do the research. I will help you do the research. I will not do the research for you, because knowledge is power. And then we can move forward and do what needs to be done so that you can grow and do and be a better human being for the world that we live in. But I absolutely applaud you, Ken, for just bringing all of that out. And it's difficult for parents to own their shit. It is difficult for us to do that. It is difficult to say, you know what, we was busy trying to be friends with our kids, and now we have a teenage child who has a baby, just like I had a baby. So now we're not breaking the cycle. We are not dealing with the fact, at what point, how often as parents do we or allow anybody in our said villages to say, you know what, you can do, be, and think whatever it is you need to do, be, and think to be a better person. to be able to get out of Baltimore, to be able to get out of New York, to be able to get out of Denver, to be able to get out of Tennessee, wherever it is you want to get out of, because there are inner cities everywhere. Wherever it is you want to get out of and do, be, and think, we don't allow people to pour into our children. And how dare we? If you don't know the information, find somebody who does. That is parenting. That is a village. That's how we build them.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
Go ahead, Mel.
I gotta go. So I just want to say this. This is a very unpopular statement for me to make amongst Black mamas who are our age. There is a fine balance. And again, my family, we perpetually have these conversations. They make my mother extremely uncomfortable, but she's willing to have them. We talk about the difference between this new age parenting of, I'm going to explain everything to you and let you figure it out and woohoo and, I don't know how else to describe it. And I'm going to beat the holy shit out of you until you do what I tell you to do, right? There's a balance between that. I grew up with a mother who was like, I'm going to beat you and then add punishments to that. But at the same time, you're also going to know why I beat you, right? In today's standards, those beatings are considered extreme. But while I feel that I would never grab an extension cord and beat my child, there is a place for a spanking, because at a certain point, you need to grab their attention. It needs to be something that they remember. And my mom used to always ask, well, why did you do that? And to your point, Jamila, I don't know was never an acceptable answer. You had better be mute before you utter, I don't know. And I didn't know what else to say until my mother said, if you didn't think before you did the action, that's an acceptable answer. So we can work on thinking before you act, as opposed to just acting and reacting. And that's a life lesson, right? So there is a fine line in today's age that parents my age and younger, I might be one of the youngest folks on this call, I'm 42, are trying to grasp with our teenagers. We're done beating you, right? We did spankings when you were little. We've said everything we need to say now so that you can do what you've been taught to do. And this idea of, well, now you're 13, so we're going to let you go figure it out and we'll be here to catch you if you fall. No, that's not going to work. You are still my responsibility. When you walk out this door and do something wrong, the cops aren't coming to you. They're coming to me because I'm your parent until you're 18. And in some states, I don't even own you. The state owns you until you're 18. So if they take you from me, I now have to pay child support for your little ass, and I'll be damned. Okay. So anyway, where our parents are failing, to Mr. Ken's point, where parents today and then are failing, is that the sweeping it under the rug has got to stop. It's still happening. That boys will be boys culture that my grandmother had is the reason that we have so many fatherless children, in my humble opinion. MIHO. Okay. It's the reason that you've got these kids today who are getting girls pregnant. And the mother of the girl is like, well, she can stay home and I'll help her take care of the baby while she goes to school. Well, hello, Mr. Julian, my mama was like, if you grown enough to lay down and get pregnant, you grown enough to get out this house and get a job and raise that child. I'm here when you need me because you need to go to school, but you're going to pay me just like you would pay daycare. Get a job, figure it out. Right? As opposed to these parents of these little boys who are getting folks pregnant, who are like, oh, well, no, homie, you need to be at her house or wherever she's living, up at 2:00 in the morning with her and this baby. And then y'all both go to school. After school, you need to get a job too, Mr. Man. You created this child, not just her. And there's a balance that's missing. There's a balance between I'm beating you and because I said so, and I'm just going to keep answering your whys until I'm blue in the face, and I'm going to let you do whatever you need to do. I'm sorry, y'all. I just left 2 weeks of being with a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I'm only going to answer why one time. And I told you why. And the next time you ask me why, I'm going to tell you, I already told you why. Now go do what I said to do. And Auntie Mel is mean for that because she has different rules than mommy and daddy have. But you have to understand, as my sister and I were talking about last night, these kids got to grow up understanding that different people will have different rules. When you walk out this house and the teacher says, when I'm talking, you don't talk. You don't get to ask why, and you stay in your seat. That is maybe a different rule than when you're learning with mommy during COVID, where we did 10 minutes here and then you can go watch TV. No, you got to go back to school where there are different rules now. And what we're not teaching our children, or what some parents in this new age method are not teaching their children, is that you can't have it the same everywhere. You are not always going to be top dog, right? When we were growing up, I'm sorry, but I was the kind of sister, I'm not going to let you win. You have to understand that there are people bigger and better than you, and you're going to lose. It's not my fault you're 7 years younger than me. Grow up and beat on somebody else. Become top dog. Get your game up. Do what you got to do. For my sister, that meant just not playing, but whatever. But we're not teaching these kids. That's my biggest fear for these kids growing up, is we're not teaching them how to enter corporate America with our parents. Because when they enter corporate America, it's our parents who are the CEOs and the owners of these companies. And they come from a generation of, oh, I'm so sorry, so sad, you're not doing what you need to do, you got to go. I don't care if your mama calls me. There are colleges who call parents on their students for not attending class. You are 19, 20, 21 years old. You are a grown ass man and woman. Why is your teacher calling me to tell me you're not going to class? That ain't got nothing to do with me. As my mama would say, I'm sorry, she's over the age of 18. I've done all I can do. Maybe you need to talk to her. Right? And so there, my whole point behind this is I'm with you, Ken, wholeheartedly. Our children are so quick. I'm going to call CPS. I'm going to call the police. Go ahead and call them, boo-boo. I'm still from that era. Call them. I'll pay the child support. You know what? My mom was a military mom, Julian. So my mom believed in physical punishment. Like you had to do PT as well as getting your whooping, writing lines, and being grounded. Oh, it was all together. I was a strong little girl. Okay. My mom was ingenious. She had mental mind warfare. When I would get in trouble, my mama would make me sit down and watch Annie. Now, as a child, I wasn't really allowed to watch TV. But my mama's punishment was, you get to watch this movie. I watched Annie so much when I was a kid, I could quote the whole thing. You know why? Because my mama said, if you call CPS, if you call the cops and they come get you, this is where you will end up. And if you think that is better than where you are now, be my guest. It never, ever, ever, ever went through my mind to call anybody and tell anybody what was going on in my mama's house. That's called mental warfare. We don't do that with our children anymore. We raise them to believe they are entitled, and it's our fault. I am including myself in this. Since day one, when I have taken that little girl to the store, I have told her, if you behave in the store, you get a toy. Every time we go. That's my fault. Now, as a teenager, right? Every time she sees me, where's my gift? Homie, you are old enough to get a paper route. I'm gonna need you to figure it out. But that's my fault. I did that. I raised her to believe that every time she hung out with Auntie Mel, she was gonna get some sort of goodie. just for doing what she's supposed to do, be a good child in public. That's my fault. Right? And like you said, Coach Jay, these conversations need to be had parent to parent. We need to be pulling each other up like, oh yeah, she's entitled. That's your fault. Now, what are you going to do to correct that? Let's work on that. I'm quick for taking the door off the hinge because you ain't slamming doors in my house. I don't care who you are. You can be, look, Miss Michelle, you send your children to my house, they follow my rules. That's what I tell every parent. I'm not going to hit your child, right? That's not my place. But they follow my rules in my house, and they may not be your rules. And if you don't like my rules, don't send your kids to Auntie Mel. I'm just saying, because I will take a door off a hinge. I got every tool known to man. I will take the door off the hinge. You will lose all privacy. You won't be able to go to the bathroom in private. Look, okay, I'm done. I got to go. I was supposed to leave 20 minutes ago, but we have to hold each other accountable. Mr. Ken, the village of parents has to be a village. We have to be willing to be those martyrs that Mr. Ken was talking about. And I'm one of them. When I lived in Baltimore, I moved into a low income area that used to be real heavy drug and gang. And I appear to white people that I am white. And I'm real calm and I'm chill. And before I signed the lease or the mortgage, when I moved into this neighborhood, the white man who built the house said, "You're not going to be afraid to move into that neighborhood? First of all, you don't know where I come from. Second of all, I bought this house. This is my house. I'll show them where my car is. Go ahead. You can go ahead and slash the tires. But what you're not going to do is sit on my front stoop and disrespect my property that I paid for." Them kids, by the end of that very first summer, knew Miss Melody's house, we don't fuck around in front of or on her property. That whole block, Miss Melody got that on lock. Don't sit on somebody else's stoop either, because she coming out that door to tell you, "Excuse me, you don't live there. You need to move on." I used to go stand on the corner and just say hello to the drug dealers. I'm not going to get all in your face. I'm not stupid, but I'm going to stand there and make it awfully uncomfortable for you to do business on my corner. And that's the part of the village we lost. That's the village that was doing something good for our neighborhoods. Like Mr. Ken and Coach Jay said, when these drugs started entering our neighborhood and guns, we stepped back and we lived in fear. I'm only on this planet for a very short period of time. If it's my time, it's my time. But I'm not going to live in my community and around these children in fear. And that's what it is. It's fear. We are afraid. Stand in who you are and stop being afraid of what God gave you. I yield my time. I love y'all. Peace and blessings. I have to go.
Okay, so to catch up with everybody, what Mel say, what Ken say, because I got a couple of them youngins. I got teenagers in the house. My 16-year-old is entitled. At one point, I wondered, did I do it? Who knows? However, he has those moments. So you 16 now, sir. You want a cell phone? You got a job. You paying for it. Why? Because I ain't paying your bill. It ain't in my budget. Because I'm a mix of the old school, new school. I had to be. I don't like spanking all the time. That ain't my thing. I tell people all the time, I'm sure I'm fat and out of shape. That's too much energy. But I take petting to a brand new level in this life. For, like they say, first time, I'm going to tell you why I'm saying no, because I want you to understand this. Now, next time, if I just karate chop you, that's your fault. Because I told you the first time not to do it. You got your pass. I gave you your that was your warning. You knew you was wrong when you did it, right? So what's the surprise? What's the shock for? The new generation of parents, like we say, are different because you have babies having babies, having babies, having babies. grandma and great grandmama's not around. I grew up with great grandma raised me, and great grandmama took care. Someone who was over there. She didn't get you junk food for lunch. She put you some oranges and some raisins on the table, a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That's what we grew up in. We ain't got no food in the house. You're gonna be hungry tonight because when I fix this food and put this food on this plate, you either gonna eat what I give you or you gonna go to bed hungry. My son woke up with his back touching his stomach, talking about, Mama, I'm hungry. You ready to eat that food I gave you last night that you didn't eat? Well, let me go warm it up for you. Cause you hungry now. Your stomach and your back, they meeting. Oh, okay. So you gonna test my gangster? I ain't gonna argue with you, baby. You don't have to eat it. Go on bed. Mama can no. Don't come back in my kitchen now. Don't come back in my kitchen. Because you chose not to eat. That was a decision you made, and I'm respecting your decision. So you're going to respect my decision and carry your tail to bed hungry. Wrong one. See, old school would have made you sit to that table. Now, I'm not going to step all night with you watching you look at this food. I'm going to wrap it up all nice and neat. I'm going to throw it in the refrigerator, send you on off the bed. And when you wake up in your morning and you doubled over in pain because your body like, what the hell did you do? What was going on? Why we? Oh, you hungry now? Hold on, let me get that food. I will surprise you with a treat, but I'll surprise you with a treat, but I'm not going to you all the time.
Yes. I used to make my children, you earn your treats. You know, you do good in school. We you get your own personal snack. Nobody else, not even me, can eat your snack. You know what I'm saying? And I will never forget when I decided to go back to college. And my twin, her name is Alexis, was like, oh, mama. So this means that you got to make good grades to get your snack, right? I went, oh, shit. Yes. Yes, I do. The same rules.
And when it works, I did that with my kids. When y'all see me say, okay, I'm studying, I done closed my door and I done got my work done. So when I tell y'all do the work, I'm telling y'all do the same thing I did. You remember when y'all saw me shut down everything and wouldn't talk on my phone and put on do not disturb? So when I tell y'all to go do your homework, I expect you to do the same thing.
Exactly.
But you see me coming home with a book or something because I'm trying my hardest. But you trying my hardest. Okay.
Yes. I believe that it's just the parents, like, like Mr. Ken said, they're young. They're young and, and it's.
But it's not that. That's not the problem. Young is only a part of it. But
It's a part of
they rebellious.
Right.
They want to put the rules on their kids that was given to them because they felt the rules didn't apply to them and their parents would be so unruly and so mean. And then
Right.
the kids come back and act like a total jackass, then they understand why their parents had those rules in place. My mama did some things I may not always like, but then I'm fussing at my kids, so I'm doing stuff in my house. I'm like, where did my mama come from? Where's she at? Because her
Yeah.
words coming out of my mouth.
Yeah.
But what you're not,
I've done that before too. Yes.
what you're not gonna do is
Yes.
arguing these same battles. I find myself calling my mama XYZ, because some things I didn't do and I didn't have to deal with. So, mama, what you think?
Right.
And I get some opinion from the elder to tell me what she believes. Now, whether I do it is my decision, but I look for wisdom in other places so that I can give the right thing. And that's what they're not doing. They're not going to those ones who walk this walk. So,
Right.
don't call me when you in jail because I told your little ass not to do it.
Oh, my daughter tried
Don't come to
that.
somebody's club. Don't come in
My
club
daughter tried that.
at a certain time of night. Don't come across my house because your feelings finna be hurt because my door locked. You're gonna be sleeping out
Right.
the porch.
Thank
You
you.
in my house
My
at a certain
door locks. I told my daughter when she lived with me, my door gets locked at 10. There's no exceptions. If you're gonna stay here with me, it's 10 o'clock, or you let me know beforehand, hey mama, I'm
XYZ going on. I'm gonna be out late.
I don't have to know because you over at the time she's over the age of 18. I'm not gonna ask, I'm just gonna tell you to be safe. But know that you just can't come to my house at 10:05, the door is locked. And I'm not even coming downstairs. Like I'm in the bed watching the news. Like I don't hear you knocking.
That part. I could be wide awake. And it's like
Yes.
I don't pop up at my house because I could be in my house in my room, hear you knocking on the door, but since I wasn't expecting company, your tail gonna sit
Yeah,
out.
I ain't answering the door. Exactly.
I do that, children.
I mean, but my daughter is going through. Exactly, because I told my daughter, I said, you're going to go through the same things with your children, but it's how you handle them. I said, do not be friends with your kids. You teach them, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, yeah, to their elders. You teach them. They may not like their grandfather. I don't care, but you better address him with some respect, though. But we don't. Yeah, we don't see that a lot, though. You get the kids going yes and no, and it's like, wait a minute.
Or what?
You can test these hands with a
What?
That's like I've told my kids, and I tell people around me with their kids, or tell kids around me, but like, look, I ain't your little friend. We ain't friends. We might have friendly moments, but I'm not your friend, first and foremost. And that's what it's gonna be. And, and it's to the point where that was instilled so heavily. I love to see my 20-something-year-old kids tell people that they know, and when I watch them, especially like my daughter, or even my son, with around people that have little kids, and they're teaching and telling them things that I instilled in them, and they can point out, look, this isn't right. This is a 3-year-old. Why is she doing or addressing certain things at a certain way? Or, this young man is 7, or why is he not saying yes, ma'am, no, ma'am? And where's he running his tail to when you tell him to do something? Why did you just let him go past you like you didn't say something? But yeah.
Because my
better yet,
in a trusted group
is actually in a grown folks conversation.
My first question tends to be, did you check them while they was there? Because I'm going to check them. Miss Jamila, she can tell you. She didn't heard me come. I ain't going to argue, fuss, and cuss. Oh, y'all going to do X, Y, Z? You going to just do it in front of me? I let them go upstairs. I let them go get comfortable. I had a whole conversation. Me and her was having a whole conversation. I wasn't feeling good, and I stopped for a moment. I said, girl, hold on for a minute. Now, mind you, I done changed clothes. I done got out of my dress outfit from church. I done put on my sweatpants and a t-shirt. She don't know this, though. I said, hold on for a minute. Voice never changed. I politely put the phone down, went, handled my business, and I came back. I said, okay, girl, I'm back. And I said, now, what was talking about? Like, ain't nothing just happened. She's talking about, did the babies get their ghost back? They fine. They finna take a beautiful nap. Guess what? They didn't text me no more either. Okay. Because you knew you was wrong when you did it. Because you looked at me when I came because you knew you was wrong. All right. What am I arguing for? We be in the middle of stuff. I take my shoe off in a heartbeat. But when they see that slide come on, they come to me, mommy, I'm right here next to you. We ain't going nowhere. We standing right. Oh, okay. Not because they're necessarily they have a healthy fear, not a panic, mommy gonna kill me fear. It's that shoe don't feel good on my leg. I ain't trying to handle that. I could be in church, tell people to tell you like before I come out that choir stand, my kids better be where they need to be. If they see me looking at them a certain way, you hear somebody tap on the shoulder. Look up at your mama. And that old school gives them a look.
That look and get them every time.
Then they straighten up and get their life together. Because the next, if the look don't work and I got to come out that choir stand and take you in that bathroom, it's going to be me, you, and Jesus. Pastor ain't nobody going to help you because everybody else going to tell you, hey, baby.
I remember one time my son, he might have been about 16, 17, was still in school. And he had met this new little friend. Now, I hell, to this day, I still screen my adult children's friends. But I screened their friends, and I was like, hey,
Mhm.
this young man's not a good friend for you. You don't need to be around him. And I guess he felt that he was 17, he could choose his own friends now. So one particular day, just like you, Sarandia, you don't get to come to my house at a certain time of night. And it's a weekday. So there's none of that. So he came home late, doors locked, I come to the door, open my door, like, hello, how you doing? Who are you, young man? Oh, gee, no, I don't know you because you're at my house and it's late. So he calls himself throwing a tantrum, something he picked up from this new friend. Hold on one moment. Close the door. I took about roughly 5 minutes, went in the room, packed up all his belongings. Which wasn't much because I didn't give him everything I bought, but I gave him, 2 bags, a bag of shoes, and a bag that had about 5 underwears, 5 t-shirts, 5 pants, 5 shirts, and socks. Took it to him to the door and set it outside the door. He said, here you go. But where am I going? I don't know. But you fail to believe that you're grown enough to come to my house when you're ready to come to my house. You're grown enough to tell me what you're going to do versus what I tell you to do. So now you're grown enough to go find somewhere else to live. I let him stay out there too.
That doesn't
That was
happen
the worst
anymore.
couple of days he done had because I didn't let him back in. And his sister was like, and I said, I dare you to open that door. You'll be out there with him.
That's
She did not
right.
open that door.
That's right. But it's not being done anymore. I have seen kids cuss out their parents. And I mean the look of horror
I
on
wish
my
they
face.
would.
I
I wish
wish.
they would.
What'd you say? What'd you say, Miss
I wish
Plant?
they would.
I
What'd
wish.
you
I
say, Miss
wish.
Plant?
Cause
Boy,
I'm your huckleberry, baby. I'm your huckleberry. Oh,
It's coming like that. I'm gonna tell y'all right now. Y'all gonna put the plate around and come bail me out of jail because I done lost my mind. You raise your
I
hand
done snatched some child's soul unintentionally.
yep, snatched.
and they come
So
at
my
me and pow. It's gonna be a thought to the head. It's gonna be a straight reaction. Pow. Oh, you did I knock your teeth out and your lip busted? Oh, okay.
Oops.
Your mama gonna do
That
what?
part.
Bring her on, because I need to pick a fight with her. Because if you acting like this, that means she allowed you to, and you think it's okay to go say, I'm gonna call your mama. Here's the phone, call her, because I want to have a conversation with her too. I'll wait.
Oh yeah. Years ago, this little girl thought it was acceptable to slap my child. And my response to that was, I need to see her mother. Because what in her psyche made it okay for her to feel like she could put hands on my child? So I went and found little Laura. And I told little Laura, we got 2 choices. Either I'm calling the cops and you go into juvie for assault, or I'm going to talk to your mother. Yeah, because I told her mother, I said, let me explain something to you. If little Laura's friends should sneeze on my daughter and she should catch a cold, I'm coming for Laura and I'm coming for you because you have taught her that it is acceptable to do that.
Mm-hmm. I
At
went.
that point, that's where sometimes, and this is where people get uncomfortable. They don't have a problem with the confrontation of children, but they do have a problem confronting the adult because adults don't want to have
Yes.
those problems. We don't want no problems. We don't want to bother nobody. Honey, your child is doing wrong over there. And I just thought that you needed to know that. And yes, I did check them. And yes,
Yeah.
I did go and check them too. This is
Because
village.
they get it from the parents. They get it from the parents. They get it from the parents. I went through that with my daughter at school where I seriously was like, I don't know who this person is that you're talking about. The teacher was like, your daughter is yelling obscenities in my class. And I was like, "Woo, I'm on my way. Let her know I'm coming." Teacher told me as soon as she said that, my daughter immediately shut up and sat down and started crying because I'm coming to get you. Because one, I'm losing money. to pay for the stuff that you need or want. And I gotta come and discipline you because she thought I was gonna be, she thought I was gonna be on her side. I said, no, babe, I'm going with the teacher on this one because I knew that she had been smelling herself for a little while. And I said, you've gotten a little too out of hand. And I'm like apologizing to the teacher, telling that we don't behave this way in either one of our houses. And they knew that my children were, you know, from a divorced household. I said, we don't tolerate none of that. I said, I'm not going to hit her in this school. And the lady said, no, I have a little office. It's in the back and it's soundproof. I'm going to go to lunch, but I'm going to unlock that door for you. And my daughter was like, please don't leave me with this woman. Please don't leave me with her. You know, I'm like, if you're going to act this way, then I'm going to act this way. And I don't like it, you know, because I got made fun of. I got called white mama because I didn't yell and scream. I said, they don't understand me when I'm yelling and screaming and I'm throwing and I feel like I'm throwing a tantrum as an adult to my children. So we're gonna do this calmly and we're gonna be calm when we do this. And my kids don't like it when I'm calm, because when I'm calm, I'm gonna beat your ass. That's just it.
Well, what a conversation, what a conversation, what a conversation. So it's been interesting, y'all. We're gonna have more of them. We're gonna keep these conversations going. I would like to thank everybody for being on the live tonight. You are great, grand, and wonderful and awesome for me. Next week is about military life. Because it's in honor of Memorial Weekend, we need to talk about what our soldiers are dealing with, past, present, future. So that's going to be them and their dependence on what they deal with in that particular area. So I hope to see you all then. I hope you come ready for your questions as the exploration continues. I love you all. Have a great night. Goodbye. And my panel folks, stay on, stay on, stay on. Stop live streaming.